Hello again. This month I am spinning some more Superwash BFL. Yes, I know. Not another video with Superwash BFL, but I had dyed a bunch of these rovings, so I really want to work through them, especially considering that I got a new attachment for my Lendrum spinning wheel that's all about spinning faster and thinner. So what better way to use up Superwash BFL than to attempt a sock yarn, and a 3-ply at that. Now I don't expect to get an actual fingering weight yarn, especially on a 3-ply, and my first time using this new fast flyer. I just want to enjoy the process of spinning all of this fun color, and let's see how close we can get. So first things first, going to take off that regular plying head, and you can don't mind all of this splattered old oil. It actually wipes off just fine. But here's the difference between the two flyers. And you can see that the largest whorl on the fast flyer is smaller than the smallest whorl on the regular flyer. So the other bonus is that it takes the same size bobbins, which is really nice. I also purchased the super fast flyer, which takes completely different bobbins. So just going to now put the wheel back together and figure out how I want to split these two rovings for spinning this time. Per usual, I am not going to plan anything. I'm just going to show you my process from start to finish. Oh yes, and I am going to remember the wheel oil this time. It's something that I've forgotten many times in the past, but let's get that wheel oil in so the wheel won't be clacking and cracking and making all kinds of moaning and groaning. I usually put the wheel oil where there's any metal pieces that will be rubbing together. Okay, so I got that roving split 3 ways, and you can probably notice this one here on the end is thinner than the other two. It's the crux of splitting a roving 3 ways. 2 ways I could do pretty accurately, or evenly I should say, but 3 ways is always a bit of a challenge. So the easiest thing I could do here is to borrow from the other roving, because I had 2 of them dyed, and even that one out. But I'm looking at this and I have like way too many ideas. I know I want a 3-ply. I know I want it to be fairly thin so I could make socks out of it because this is a Superwash product. Hi Peanut. You come to inspect my work, huh? He keeps me in line, this one. But I'm looking at it, I'm thinking like maybe one singles black in the 3-ply would look really neat. So then this is where my head starts thinking of all the different possibilities. Like if I go to take the other roving, also split it 3 ways, and then use 3 pieces for singles 1, 3 pieces for singles 2, and then dye a whole lot of black, and there he goes. He likes wool. He doesn't like this as much as regular BFL because it has that nice sheep smell, but it's soft, so he'll cuddle up to it. Hi, buddy. You're interrupting my video again. So, I'm not sure what to do now. I'm sort of paralyzed with possibilities, and I think I just need to dive in and do it. So I will just take one of the thirds here and start spinning it so I can get a feel for this new fast flyer on my Lendrum. And then I will decide from there where I want to go. I also want to see how much I can get on this bobbin, because I think that would dictate which way I go with this. But sometimes when you have the ability of a lot of possibilities, it almost makes it harder to be creative. I certainly appreciate being able to have lots of options at my fingertips, but sometimes it does make things a little harder to decide what you want to do. Well, let me get spinning, and I think once I get into it, it'll become more clear what I want to do. That is, if Peanut lets me have a piece of roving. Okay, so our first one of three pieces, or 1/3 approximately, of the roving done on my new fast flyer here from my Lendrum. I must say I'm impressed. Certainly having these smaller whorls definitely helps achieve a thinner yarn. So I had an epiphany while I was spinning, as it usually happens. I did go ahead and dye some black Superwash BFL. I mentioned that I was thinking about maybe using one of the third ply, or the third singles in the 3-ply to be black. And I've decided instead, I think I'm going to add black to the end of this, and maybe continue this color with the other roving I haven't split yet, to make a larger amount and have some solid black in the middle. My reason, or my methodology to this, is that I doubt that I split that first roving in 3 equal halves. So if I put black in the middle, black looks great with everything. I absolutely love black for contrast with my spinning, even more so than white. Let's face it, it wears better over time. It doesn't yellow or get dirty. It's black, right? So then if any of this color doesn't match up, it's just going to meld with the black, and I think it will look really nice. And it's just something really different that you wouldn't see if you went to a store and bought yarn, right? That's the whole reason why we spin, to push the envelope and do something a little different. Anywho, I will stop talking and I will continue on here, and I'll be back with an update soon. All right, Lendrum bobbin 1, 2, and 3. And as I was mentioning, I don't think I did the greatest job splitting this roving 3 ways. I find that very difficult personally. This was the one that had the least amount of fiber on it, and I'm not sure if this means, actually I'm pretty sure this means, to be honest, there's a lot more blue and purple than the other colors on this one, just the way that it kind of landed. Nevertheless, what I'm going to do is I want to fill these bobbins up with black. And I'm not sure if I want to weigh them first, put the weight on, or just kind of go until they get full, approximately to the same amount, before I go to ply it. Knowing me, I am just going to just launch ahead and add some black on it and see what happens. I know a lot of people spin because they have a project in mind, or a specific type of skill they want to do, like a certain type of yarn they want to spin. I like to spin these days just for recreation. I find it relaxing. So I just want to have fun with it and see what I end up with. And then I can make knitting, weaving, or crochet projects based on the yarn itself. Now, it might be a little backwards in some people's minds or for their philosophy for spinning, but I've been doing this now like 14 years, and I just want to have fun. I'm tired of being technical, measuring everything. What's the twist on this? The wraps per inch. It's like, let's just go and do it. See what we end up with and find a project that suits it after the fact. So I'm going to get back to work, find something to watch, something hopefully that I don't have to do a lot of thinking, and just entertainment. And I'm going to work on this a little bit more this evening. I'll be back again with another update. All right, all 3 bobbins now have some black singles applied to each. We have a 4.8, 4.7, and a 4.7 ounce. So I know that I originally said I wanted to finish these bobbins out with black, but I think I'm going to go ahead and get that second braid here, and let's finish the bobbins out with some color instead. I think this is going to be really fun to ply, to watch all those colors come together, then fade to black, but with some of the color also in the black, all the way to the end with more color. We have 3 full bobbins of our Superwash BFL, and I'm happy to report when I put the second roving on, split 3 ways, we're pretty even weight-wise. So one of these bobbins was 6 ounces, another one was 5.8, and the other one 5.9 ounces. So that's pretty darn close considering. I think I'm going to ply this on my e-spinner simply because I have my alpaca project. If you see my other videos where I'm spinning a whole whack of raw alpaca unwashed, is on my Spinolution wheel. I'm not a big fan of the plying head on the Lendrum, to be honest. I find it a little clunky and slow. Maybe that's just me. But so the e-spinner it is. So I do have a project on my e-spinner too, but that's okay. I can remove that and get plying this. So yeah, I always have more than one thing on the go. I have one of those brains that just can't seem to focus on one thing, likes to have variety. And yeah, there we are. So I'm going to get spinning this. I'm really excited to start with this color and get to the black and see where everything ends up and melts together. So let me get started and then I'll be back with an update when I'm about halfway through. All right, we have some color. This has been quite fun to watch come together in this 3-ply. I'm just about to start the black, so I wanted to show you how it's looking thus far. This is what the yarn is looking like thickness-wise. Not bad for a first attempt thinner 3-ply. Hopefully this is fairly even throughout. I really had a hard time even getting like a fingering weight with a 2-ply hand spun. So if I can get close to a 3-ply without really trying, I can be happy with that. I did remove some of the color that I thought was if there was like a section with too much of the same colors blending together. I was getting concerned that, well, I figure that there is no way that all of this is going to fit on this bobbin anyway. So I thought, hey, let's remove some of the bulk and then I can keep this in case I might need it to fill in space. And if not, I'll keep it for something else. So yeah, getting ready for that black section, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it come together. Be back in a bit. Okay, wow, that is one great big fat bobbin here on my e-spinner. I cannot believe I was able to get pretty much all of that fiber on here in this 3-ply. I did that middle section that I did black. I removed a little bit of it because I was getting concerned it wasn't going to fit. And there's a little bit too much overlap of the same kind of thing going on with the blue and 2 strands of black and 1 strand of blue. So I got rid of some of it here. And this is all that's left from the end. So yeah, that is pretty much all of it. I love the side view of these bobbins where you can see the color poking through. Look at that, isn't that really cool? For the last half here, I just let the color melt together and do its own thing. I think it looks fabulous. I look forward to getting this skeined off. And then I was intending on doing another skein to show you what to do with the leftovers, and there isn't any. So hats off to these big bobbins on this e-spinner and the motor on this thing, because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be able to handle this, and it did it no problem. So electric eel wheel for the price point, you can't complain, that's for sure. All right, so the next thing will be to get this off onto the nitty knotty, see how many yards we have, get it set, and then we'll do the final reveal. Stay tuned. Okay, so this smoothly went on the nitty knotty. I'm really happy to say, because there's quite a bit of it. I counted 487 wraps, so that's just a little under 1,000 meters. I'm kind of surprised by that, but it does make sense for the amount of ounces of fiber used. I am going to double check and count it just to make sure, because I'm like, wow, that seems like a lot, and it actually fit on this nitty knotty, but I guess it is a thinner gauge of yarn. But yeah, the color, oh my god, it's so nice. I'm so excited about this. So we're going to give this a quick soak. Soap will set, and then we'll get a final look at it. Okay, I did a recount before I took it off the nitty knotty, and yeah, it's 407 wraps, not 487. So if you're ever in doubt, just recount your strands before you take it off. So 407 wrap times 2, so we're looking at, what is that, 814 yards. Not bad either way. Oh boy, I pulled this off the nitty knotty, and for some reason when I tied it off on this end here, I missed a whole section, and that section went pinging. It was a total mess. I had to panic for a minute, so I've gone ahead and just added some extra ties, as I normally do anyway before I give my yarn a soak. But fingers crossed, when I go to put this on the Swift to ball it up, to knit with it, it's not going to be a complete and total mess in this section here. But yeah, as they say, things happen and you just got to roll with it. So let's give this a soak finally. Okay, it's finished, and I must say I even surprised myself. So this has now been wet set, nice and dry, and I use my wraps per inch tool to check, okay, what gauge did I actually end up in this 3-ply. And I checked different areas. The average is about 18 to 19 wraps per inch. So a 19 wrap per inch is like the lower end of a fingering weight, and 18 at the higher end of a sport weight, if that makes sense. So I would probably classify this as a sport weight just because there's some thicker pieces in it, and I do think there's some that might even be a titch thicker than that. But now that I've had a chance to examine it, I'm very confident that I could knit with this and it would be fairly even. It wouldn't be, I find a few wraps per inch, if you're off, not so bad. You don't want a bulky going to, like, say, a sport weight or something along those lines, unless you're doing it thick and thin, of course. So I'm sure this will be very enjoyable to knit with. And the colors are great, huh? Nice and bright. I'll show you where the colors had kind of mixed together too. I love that. And then that nice solid black in there. So I'm intrigued. Like I said, I was going to make socks out of this. I don't care if my socks match, by the way, because I know if I am to split this, one pack, the striping is going to be different on one than the other. I'm not 100% sure yet. I have been really into spinning more so than actual knitting lately. So he'll probably go on my rack in the studio so I can admire it for a while. I also wanted to make a point that yes, I am well aware that there is a more technical way to spin so I can get the thickness that I want. I've just gotten to a place, I know I've said this over and over again, but I don't enjoy spinning this way. I don't want to count how many treadles and make sure that I always do a long draw, or I always do a front draw, and take a bit and a sample and check and make sure the size is right. I just want to watch TV, watch color develop, and spin. And so over the years, I've just figured out how to feel my way through a project to get something that I know I will be happy with. And again, I make these videos to encourage you to do the same thing. You don't need to be technical about your spinning. Just do it and have fun. And if it's not quite what you thought, switch it up, use it for another project. I don't see how you can go wrong with this. It's absolutely lovely, and it's actually fairly soft. And this time, it didn't have that weird smell that from the first time that I used Superwash BFL. I have no idea what's going on with that, but this one is perfectly fine. It could be that I just had more time to off gas. So that's a wrap on a 3-ply, trying to get as close as possible to a fingering weight Superwash BFL yarn as I can on my Lendrum Fast Flyer. I'm really impressed with this attachment. Should have bought it years ago. The reason why I didn't buy it is I've never been a thin spinner. I've always preferred to have a gauge of yarn that is either bulky, super bulky, because I did a lot of those funky textured art yarns, or like worsted at the very thinnest. That was what I enjoyed to work with. But as you get on, you kind of want to have something thinner, and lately I've been trying to have my cabinet have more choice with a thinner gauge yarn. I kind of scrambled to get as many pieces for my Lendrum as possible because Gord Lendrum is retiring. So I have this flyer, the regular flyer, the Plying head, and also the super fast flyer, which I haven't tried yet. That'll be the next thing once I'm done figuring this one out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, that it was insightful, and we will see you next month. Until next time.